Hi everyone, welcome to an episode of Just One N. My name is Elizabeth Zimmerman, but you can call me Liz. I'm coming to you from Cochranville, Pennsylvania, where I live with my husband Greg and our two children Eric and Tilda and our cat Sunspot. You can find me on Instagram right now as just1n_Liz. It's been a really long time since I podcasted. Today is May 10th, 2022. The last episode I did was sometime in December 2020. And I also had been posting Vlogmas during that time, but it was unpublished content from prior years. So it wasn't even anything new because we weren't doing anything in Christmas 2020. So yeah, the channel's been a little bit dormant. I have a lot to catch you guys up on. I figured that now would be as good a time as any to just kind of pop in and say hi and give some updates and show you what I have been working on, though it is honestly not as much as you would expect with a 1.5-year hiatus. But I'll show you what I have and just kind of give you some updates. So major life stuff, I did have a job change. I still work for the company that I've worked for the past 16 years now. I work for a bank that's based in Utah. But now I manage my team. My direct manager decided to take another role, I think it was last August, and I was promoted up into her role. So that's been fun and challenging, something brand new for me. I've never managed people before, so I've really enjoyed that, but that's been keeping me busy. Family, as always, keeping me busy. Eric is 10 now. He turned 10 last month. So he is finishing up 4th grade. They've got like 5 weeks of school left now, I think. And Tilda is 7 and she's finishing up 1st grade. And I think that's it. I mean, we're all staying busy. So my extended family, we're all still getting together. But it's been challenging to even keep up there as well, as evidenced by the fact that this past Sunday was Mother's Day, and we finally had our annual Easter egg hunt and the annual take a picture of all the cousins in age order. So we accomplished that. And then in the next couple of weeks, we are going to have what we are still calling our New Year's celebration, which is when everybody comes over to our house and we play games and we eat food and spend the night over Memorial Day weekend. Because we tried to host it this year over New Year's, but some people got sick and it just didn't happen. So I feel like we're just kind of like very behind in life in general. But it's fun. I'm not complaining. Everything has been, crazy because life is just crazy. But we're keep on keeping on. So that's kind of a life update. I'm not going to fill you in on everything that I've done in the last 1.5 years because honestly, it's too much to cover. We did take a family vacation, my kids and husband and I, up to the Finger Lakes last summer. So I will put in a family picture here so you can kind of see what we all look like now. I was catching up on, I was trying to remember what I'd posted most recently. So I was watching some of the old videos on my channel, and I couldn't believe how young the kids looked in the Vlogmas videos I was posting. Granted, they were from 2019, so it's been a while, but man, they've grown up so much in the last couple of years. So like I said, I have not crafted as much as you would probably expect with just the craziness that is life going on. I haven't had a lot of the same mental capacity that I had previously, and the motivation and the mojo, and it just ebbs and flows. So I've spent a lot of my time picking up some other hobbies, which I'll talk about a little bit later. I spend a lot of my time listening to audiobooks, and usually it's just easier to pick up my phone and play like a mindless game like Heyday, which I play with my sisters, or a Picross, which is like the nanogram, I think, logic puzzles. So I've been doing a lot more of that than actually picking up my crafting. But I do have some things to show you, so don't worry, there is some content. Okay, so I've started over a couple times now already. I am obviously very rusty. A lot has been going on in the last year and a half. I have a whole list of notes of things that I was planning to talk about, but honestly, it just feels like too much. So we'll see what I actually throw in. But let's jump into some content, and I'll show you what I actually have been working on, because, this was my knitting channel, so we'll talk some knitting. So finished objects, we'll start with that. Oh, actually, no, I lied. We'll start with what I'm wearing. So this is my ash sweater. I finished it sometime a couple of years ago, I think. And I don't wear it that often. So I was looking for something to throw on while recording, and this is what I landed on. And I really like it. I need to wear it more often because it's very nice. But I can't remember anything about it, but I will put the project page link that I'm sure I have into the show notes. But I will talk about some finished objects. Some of these I was actually working on when I podcasted last, a year and a half ago. Some of them are brand new. Some of them are not actually finished, but they're close enough and might be as far as they get. But let's go ahead and start with this one. So this is my Maston cardigan. I showed this a couple of times before I went dormant, and it is really, really finished now. I actually wore it several times this past weekend. It's one of my go-to things to wear that I make, or that I have made. And it is a cardigan. I knit it in Quince & Co. Chickadee, which is the DK weight. The color was Iceland, which is a very nice gray. So this is the finished cardigan. Like I said, I've shown it before, but it's been so long. It's very cable-y. It's got this great detail on the sleeve and the whole body. It's got cute little pockets, which have a contrasting color or an accent color. So that just kind of pops through the holes at the front. So it's very cute. This was designed by Rachel Brockman. I had knit 99% of it a year and a half ago. However, I ended up ripping out the finished shawl collar because it wasn't laying the way that I wanted to. So I added more rows, got more length to the shawl collar so that it would land the way I wanted to. And then I did the last 1% of finishing that was left, which included weaving in ends and finishing off the pockets and putting on buttons. I actually really liked the buttons that I landed on, which were these little wooden flowers that I want to say I picked up at a festival recently, but I'm not actually 100% sure on that. So that is the Maston cardigan. It is done, and I wear it, which is always a great thing to say about a finished project. Another one that I finished and I do wear, and I considered wearing as I was podcasting, but the collar was interfering with my earrings. This is the Rex sweater. So I mentioned I got into some other crafts. One of those is Tunisian crochet, which is what this sweater is, what the craft to make this sweater is. So this actually, the collar part is just crochet, but the body of it, including in the sleeves, is Tunisian crochet, which, if you've never heard of Tunisian crochet, is when you have, it's kind of like a cross between knitting and crochet in that you crochet onto your needle, and usually like a tail so that it's long enough. So you do one pass picking up the stitches and then you go back and finish the stitches. So rather than having one live stitch like you usually do in crochet, you actually do go a row at a time, which is more similar to knitting. So I went down a bit of a Tunisian crochet rabbit hole. I'll show you some of that stuff later. But this was a big project that I picked up and worked on while I was on my Tunisian crochet kick, and that was all I wanted to do. Weirdly, I ended up with like a couple of holes in the neck after I washed it the first time. I think they were there before I washed them and I just didn't notice. But I darned those. This one is more obvious because it's sticking up a bit. but this one's a little bit more invisible. So I've been practicing darning techniques. I actually found a hole in my Maston cardigan in the shawl collar before I wore it to Rhinebeck too. So that was the first time I looked up darning, and it's come in handy a couple times since I found a hole in my sock when I was at Maryland Sheep and Wool this weekend. So darning is one of those techniques that I always wanted to learn and have now had reason to learn it because I keep finding holes in things. I don't know if it's because my cat is attacking things or if I've got moths and didn't know it or what exactly has happened to each of these projects. But I am definitely honing my darning skills. So that is another finished object. That is one that I started and finished since the last time I've talked to you guys. So that one is brand new. This is one that was in progress when I podcasted last, and this is the Unicornucopia. So this is a brioche shawl. It's kind of, it's got the effect of a unicorn horn and kind of a cornucopia horn. Also, do you call that a horn? So this is a project I was working on. I did finish it eventually. And it's done and blocked. I'm not going to go through all the information on it because I honestly don't remember. It's been so long. But there is a Ravelry project page that I will link. One thing I will note, it's actually a lot more narrow than I expected it to be. So it's really more of a scarf than a shawl. But I really like it. The mohair that I used, I do remember that it's shibui. It's very soft, and I really like the feel of the finished product. So that is my Unicornucopia. Okay, another one that I had started, according to my last podcast, which, like I said, I watched to remember what the heck I was doing at that time, was the Stephen West mystery knit along from a couple of years ago that was called Slipstravaganza. So last time I showed it, it was about 2 inches long, I think, and I did finish it. I think I finished it within a couple of months because I was just looking in my little 5-year journal thing that I keep, which I actually set aside to show you at the end because I wanted to remind you guys that it's awesome and I use it. But I saw recently that I was blocking it about a year ago. So if I was working on it in December, then finished it in May, then it only sat on the needles for 6 months, which is probably a record for me for one of these projects because I have another one that has been languishing quite a bit longer. So this was a Slipstravaganza. I don't remember anything about the yarn, but again, project page, I will link it below, and you can see that. It is huge. It's very, very large. But, that is the nature of Stephen West shawls often. It's one of those, it's mostly a half circle. It's a little bit differently shaped. But yeah, it's very nice. I like that one. Another one that I was working on before, and I honestly wasn't sure what happened to it because when I was watching through my last episode, I was like, oh, I was working on that, right? Did I finish that? And I couldn't remember if I did or not. Apparently I did. It has been sitting in a basket full of finished objects that I have that I, sometimes forget to look at so that I can find things to wear. But it's not actually 100% done. I did not weave in ends and I didn't block. But this is the Mini Mania, which was just a way to use up the minis that I got for Advent one year. I believe these were my 2020 Advent yarns that I got. I'm actually holding it backwards, so that's the back end. So this was my 2020. I did get a yarn Advent in 2021. I actually got one that was only 12 days, and I only put a couple of squares in. They're sitting on a table in my craft room, just waiting to eventually be put into my blanket. But that one was from Fuzzy Whatnots, and I cannot remember where my 2020 Advent came from. I might see if I can put that down here below. But that was the minis from that year's Advent after I put them into my blanket. This was what was left. Someday that will get blocked and ends woven in. I know that most of these ends actually are kind of woven in. I like to use what Stephen West calls his weave-in Stephen technique, where he just kind of loops the yarn as he knits the continuous rows. So most of these I think actually are woven in. I just need to trim them, but not all of them. So I have to at some point find the ones that are not and weave those in before I accidentally trim the ones that aren't and unravel half the shawl. So that is my mini Mania. It counts as another finished object. Another couple of finished objects that I have that I don't actually have with me. One is what actually got me into Tunisian crochet. So I learned about this charity called Hugs Through Shrugs. I think I saw it in Paige's newsletter, Paige from Frame and Fiber. And on their website, they had kits for Tunisian crochet, and they were talking about how a lot of their shrugs, which is what they do, they make shrugs for, I believe it's mothers of children in the hospital. It's like care packages that they do. I'll link their website below so you can read from them what they do, because I'll probably butcher it. But I made one of the shrugs. And they talk about how Tunisian crochet is a great way to make them. Also, that's actually a bit faster than crochet. So that's what sent me down the crochet rabbit hole. But I did make a shrug. I have the materials to make another one. This is their Tunisian crochet kit. So it's actually 2 of their giant balls of yarn. So this thing is bigger than my head. So I just haven't started on it yet. But I got a Tunisian crochet hook to use, and this is the biggest crochet hook you've ever seen in your life. This is a size U, which is 25 millimeters, and it's Tunisian crochet, so it has its little tail, and I haven't cast it on yet. So this is another thing that it is a finished object in that I have already made a shawl and sent it to them, and it's also waiting to be a whip because I haven't started on my next one yet. But that is Hugs Through Shrugs. Like I said, check them out. They do some great work. Another finished object that I don't have because I couldn't find it is a dress that I made for Tilda last summer. I actually made this dress for her when she was a toddler. It was called Shades of Summer. And I made it in, I think, one of the cotton yarns that I still have some left over from back there. But I made it for her when she was really little. She outgrew it eventually, obviously. It was very sad. I went on to another cousin. And then last summer, I wanted to make something for her. So I was like, I remember that dress had a lot of different sizes. So I cast it on again and made it for her. There was a whole saga about me making the wrong size. And I posted some things on Instagram if you want to look at them. I basically had to cannibalize the first dress that I made because I had to reknit it, but I didn't have enough yarn. So anyway, I made this dress for her. It doesn't fit great. She didn't want the torso to be short. It's really designed to be more of like an empire waist look, but she wanted it to be long, and I think I went a little bit too long. So hopefully she'll be able to wear that for a couple more summers, and I actually made it very long in the skirt part too, so she'll be able to wear it for a really long time. I can't find it right now. So it's almost summer, so hopefully we'll be able to locate it again. But she did wear it a couple times last summer. But the other project that I made for her that I do have, this one she does wear. In fact, I had to pull it out of the laundry because she wore it to school yesterday, which makes me very happy because I have knit things for Tilda in the past, including a cardigan that I can see right there that she wore once and has never worn again. So she doesn't always wear what I make for her, but she really liked this one and has worn it a lot. So this is a sweater I finished a couple months ago. I think it's been a couple months. So this one, the pattern, it had it gifted to me, so I don't know where you can get it currently. I don't know if it's in print, but it is, let me see if I can find the name. It's Erin's sweater from, I think it's Stylecraft. it's actually kind of a sweater formula. They had 4 different options for the panels, 4 different options for the collar. I think there was something else you could change. But this is, the detail that she picked. She wanted the little bobble flower vine thing motif. And then it's got some cables up the sleeve. And it's really cute. I really enjoyed knitting it. It was a lot of fun because I love doing small garments because they go fast. I also used a yarn that I really liked. I used Barocco Comfort, which is a very soft acrylic yarn, and it washes great. This has been through the washing machine and the dryer probably half a dozen times now, and it looks fantastic. So hopefully she will continue to enjoy wearing it, although she will outgrow it pretty soon. So I might have to make another one, maybe with one of the other options in the middle panel section. So that is a total sweater. And then the last finished object I have is one of those that is 99% done. So I'll show you what I have, but there's still some more work to do on it. Okay, so this is a blanket. It's very thick. It's not done yet because what I've done... Okay, so let me back up. So this is a blanket from Annie's Crochet Kits, I think is what it's called. It's one of those monthly subscription things. So they send you a pattern and yarn every month, and you pay for each installment of the pattern. And I really liked it for keeping me motivated to do something for the past year. So if nothing else, I had a crochet square that I could work on. So it's like a sampler afghan. So you would, every month you get a pattern book that has 3 squares in it. So a pattern for 3 of the squares in the 30 square blanket that you're making. And the yarn to make it. So the one that I went with was the Warm Sand Sampler Afghan. So it's, some beige tones, taupe, cream, very neutral tones. And I finished crocheting all of the squares. I also put all of the squares together. And something that I learned from doing Tilda's elephant blanket, if you remember years and years ago, is that I really like to have a backing on knit and crochet blankets. So after I put it together, I went and got some very fuzzy fabric that is also a cream off-white color, so it would blend well with the blanket. This has been sitting on my craft room floor for about 2 or 3 months now, waiting for me to actually attach the backing to the blanket and then crochet the border, which I haven't done for the blanket yet either. So maybe 99 is generous. There's actually quite a bit of work left to do, maybe 80% done. So I do have that left to do. But in order to set up for the podcast, I actually had to clear some space on my floor. So I did finally attach the back with safety pins, so it's portable now. I actually can pick it up and move it around. And then I'm going to, next step, hopefully this week, I will start crocheting on the border. And as part of adding the border, I'm going to do some blanket stitch as I pick up. So that will attach the back to the blanket and then finish that up. So that's on the docket. When I say this week, this is one of the things that I had notes to talk about and just skipped over because so I actually took off work this week. That's one of the reasons that I'm podcasting. This is a Tuesday afternoon. Normally I would be working, probably in a meeting, because 90% of my day is meetings now. But I took this week off. This past weekend was Maryland Sheep and Wool. About, I don't know, half of my Rhinebeck house decided to rent an Airbnb for the weekend for Maryland, and we kind of made it a mini Rhinebeck. We got to hang out and knit and go to the festival together, and it was just a really good time. Normally on Maryland Sheep and Wool weekend, I just make a day trip out of it. I did overnight it one year with some of my Jersey girls, but usually I go down for the day. I actually go with my sister Mindy. I wrangled her into it in more recent years, and then just go home because it's only like an hour and a half away. But this year, because they wanted to, make a weekend of it, I took Friday off, and we went out of town, did the Maryland Sheep and Wool thing, and then my birthday is actually this upcoming Friday, which is May 13th, and I decided rather than take off Friday for Maryland Sheep and Wool, take off Friday for my birthday, I was just going to take off the whole week in between. So I am having a me staycation. The kids are at school, my husband's at work, I have the house to myself. I have a whole list of things that I want to accomplish this week, including a little bit of effort into cooking, which I haven't done in a really long time, and making some progress on some of these projects that have just been kind of sitting around for a while. And what better time than right after Maryland Sheep and Wool, which is when I've been, around my crafty friends and being motivated and, getting some of that mojo back to actually work on some of these projects. So this blanket, big step was getting it, together. I do have some extra fabric here that I'll need to trim at some point. So lots of steps left to do. But getting it up off my floor was a big step. So one step closer. We'll see how it goes. So in addition to that blanket that I made, I actually also just picked up yarn at Walmart. I got some mandala cakes. So I picked these up from Walmart, a bunch of different colors, and decided that while I had these crochet square patterns that I really enjoyed, and I didn't really talk about it, sorry. So the squares, they're all different patterns. So they're all different techniques that you can learn. I don't do a ton of crochet, so it was really cool to learn different stitches and different ways that that crochet can look. So while I had these squares, I was like, I really enjoyed making all of those squares. I'm going to start over with my own yarn. So that was the yarn I picked up. And then I knit crocheted all 30 squares again in the mandalas that I got. So I have another blanket that is ready to go, but is just sitting here in a pile. I don't have them blocked or pieced together, obviously. So this is, it's basically ready to go and just not done at all. I'm just going to show you guys some of these patterns. Like, they're really cool. I actually have one whip that was just one of the stitches that I really liked. So I just started kind of making like a cowly kind of thing, and haven't really come up with a plan for finishing it yet. But yeah, so these are all of the squares that I've finished from the second go at the crochet blanket. And a couple of them fell on the floor there. But yeah, so this is another blanket. This is less done. All of the crochet is done, but I still have to piece it together. I probably would back this one as well, maybe with a different fabric. But yeah, there's a lot left to do on that one. But it was really great for, like I said, I got the kit so that it gave me something to do. And I would, the kits come about 4 weeks apart or a month apart. And I would get the kit and then I would finish it in like a week. And then I'd have to wait 3 more weeks. So eventually I just got more yarn and ended up just doing them again. So, so that's another blanket that will eventually come to be, but is not quite there yet. So we've kind of naturally progressed into whips because these blankets are what I spent most of my time on. Like I said, I would have to wait a long time for each kit because I'd just get through it so quickly. Eventually I did do those other squares, but even that wasn't enough to keep me busy. So I did sign up for Annie's Knit Afghan Block of the Month Club. Look at that. I have the name of it now that I have it in front of me. So this one is the same concept. It's knit squares, so you get a pattern for 3 every month. You get the yarn to do it. Eventually you piece it all together, which you can see here. Each one is a different pattern, different stitch technique, things like that. And this one I'm actually only like 8 months into, I think. So I have these done, and I have like 3 more that I finished recently. They're sitting in a project bag. And then I have 3 more that were shipped to me that I haven't actually started yet. So these were where all of my mojo went. I was staying on top of them. I definitely stayed on top of the crochet one. I did a whole nother crochet one. I was staying on top of the knit ones until the last couple of months. But there were some other projects that I ended up picking up. So that was kind of why I shifted my focus. I had more brain space that I could branch outside of my block of the month club. But yeah, so this one I have more to do ready and waiting for me to do them. This is the bag that I'm keeping whatever I'm currently working on. This is a Daisy Lane design bag. She's doing some patchwork bags at the moment. It's super cute. There's like a mushroom patch here. And then there's something else. Oh, the little birds and the the trees there. So this is what the yarn actually looks like when it comes. They just send you 2 skeins of whatever color that month's blocks are in. And then this is one I just finished. And then I just knit them on, I think it's size 8. Yeah, size 8 needles. So I don't really have a lot to say about that one, other than that's the knit version of the Afghan that I've been working on. Okay, so some other projects that I'm working on. Like I said, I've been picking up some of the other things that have been getting my attention. Actually, let me show you this one. So this is the one where I liked one of the crochet stitches from the blocks that I was doing, and I just decided to just keep doing that stitch because I really liked it. So this is something that I started. I don't know what it's going to be. I thought it might be a cowl, or I thought it might be a scarf, but it ended up just, I don't know. I didn't do the right dimensions. So I think it will probably be like a long, cozy cowl. I think I can go about twice as wide as I have it now. So it'll be, that'll be a decent cowl size. I'm not following a pattern for it. I just really like doing the stitch. So I just kept doing it. It's one where you do something around the front post. So it makes kind of like a raised basket weave kind of thing. I actually have no idea what this stitch is called. So if anybody who crochets actually knows, I'll get a little bit closer so you can see what it looks like. I am fairly certain that I have a baby blanket that my uncle's husband crocheted for Eric when he was a little baby that uses this stitch. So I could probably just ask him. But it's a really cool stitch, and I really enjoyed doing it. I have not touched this in quite a long time, though. But it is, it's a work in progress, so it counts. And this one, I'm using my Stephen Willett crochet hook. I just really love these crochet hooks. Unfortunately, he's not making them as often anymore. I don't think I saw any crochet hooks at his booth this past weekend in Maryland. But yeah, I really love this one. Another thing that has not gotten any love, I put this in my whips, but honestly, I haven't touched it in forever, is my stitching. I have not done any stitching in like probably the past year. So if you've been watching for a while, you know that I typically do an annual stitch along with Clouds Factory. They put out a kit, or you can just get the pattern every year. That's usually like little characters that follow a theme. 2017 was Fabulous Women in History. 2018 was, I can't remember what they were called, but it was like a mythical beasts and characters alphabet. 2019 was something about humans being the architecture of something. No, I'm mixing that up with women. Anyway, it was like historical figures. So I have those framed on my wall. That's why I'm looking off into the distance here. So 17, 18. So 2020 was Grimm's Fairy Tales. And I did start on it. I made it honestly a little bit further than I thought I had. Looking at it now, I think I've only got maybe the last 2 months worth to do. Maybe. I'm not really sure. I have to look at it. But I think I'm still working on the same part that I was working on when I talked about it last in December 2020. So, yeah, I have not made a lot of progress. But this is the Grimm's Fairy Tales Stitch Along this year in 2020. And I do have quite a bit left. I had tried picking this up. I was working on these bushes. I know that that is something that I have accomplished. And I have not gotten into it. But I was hanging out with Paige while she was stitching on her mandalas that she does, which are incredible. If you haven't seen her Instagram or YouTube videos on that, it's very cool. And that just, inspired me. I need to get back into stitching. So hopefully this week that is something that I will be able to spend some time on. So I pulled that out so that I could see it and handle it and remind myself what progress I have made. Because really, that's it. This is the only thing that's left, and that should be plenty doable. So hopefully that will get some love soon. So that is my 2020 Clouds Factory stitch along, which we're going to call a whip, even though it hasn't had any progress recently. So the cross stitch. So like I said, I haven't done any this year. However, I've been doing their stitch along since 2017. I've been doing their stitch along since 2017. And according to a personality analysis that I've taken recently, I tend to be a collector, and I don't like to have incomplete collections. So even though 2020 isn't even done, I do still have 2021 and 2022 that I ordered, but haven't actually started yet because obviously I'm not going to start them until those are done. But I do have these. I don't remember what the themes are. I think this one, I remember it was called There Is No Planet B, so I think this one's all environmental. This one has dinosaurs on it, but I don't remember anything about the theme. So I'll have to look that up and figure out what that one was called. But yeah, those are sitting in the wings waiting for me to get my stitching mojo back so I can finish 2020 and then start on one of these. Obviously, they're not going to be done in like a time frame that makes sense since 2021 is completely over and 2022 is half over. But someday these will get done. And if they're not done by 2023, I will still be purchasing the 2023 kit and we'll have that waiting as well. Someday I will catch up and we'll be back on top of it. So I have this pile next to me that I am working through and finding that I've skipped some things. So again, I'm a mess. I'm all over the place. This is going to be a nightmare to edit, but I will try to make sure that I talk about everything I intended to. This is a swatch. This is from a Baltic Braids class that I took. It was offered online. I cannot remember the name of the instructor right now. I apologize. But I took it through Flying Fibers. This was actually a class that I had signed up for at the Woolen Festival, which is in Ireland, because I was supposed to go to Ireland in, I think it was the summer of 2020, and obviously that didn't happen. So I was really excited to be able to take the class that I had originally signed up for, that they were able to offer it. So that is my swatch. We learned a couple of different braid techniques. I got really excited after learning them and really want to make some mitts where I can incorporate this technique because it really was pretty easy. You just have to know exactly what to do. So, so that eventually will be incorporated into a mitt project. I have yarn ready to go even. I just, I need to be motivated to cast one on. But that was a really fun class to take. Also in my pile of things that I didn't actually end up talking about. So Tunisian crochet, like I said, I went down a rabbit hole. One thing that I did when I went down that rabbit hole was I acquired the Chalgu interchangeable Tunisian crochet kit. So this is crochet hooks where they have a screw on the end. They are actually compatible with the Chalgu twist. Is it twist? I can't remember. The cables for Chalgu interchangeable knitting needles are compatible with these hooks. So you just put the cable on, and then you put a stopper on the other end, and then you can have any sized interchangeable, any size Tunisian crochet hook that you want, and any cable length that you need to, which is great when you want to do a project like a sweater. The sweater that I made, had some pretty big pieces, so I needed a pretty long cable and a couple of different sizes. So that was one purchase that I made as I went down my Tunisian crochet rabbit hole. I also was turned on to the Instagrammer TL Yarn Crafts, I believe, who is Tony Lipsy, as a great resource for Tunisian crochet. So I checked out her page, I checked out her website, very informative, gleaned lots of information from her. And then soon after I started following her, she published a book called the Tunisian Crochet Handbook, which is a beginner's guide to Tunisian crochet. It's got some really great patterns in it. It's a very cool book, so I highly recommend it. I did get a signed copy because I pre-ordered it, so that is the book that I got. I think that's it for my Tunisian crochet rabbit hole. I covered that. I was in whips. That's what I was talking about. Okay, so this is a project that I am working on right now. I actually have been giving it a lot of love in the last week or two. So this is the sole bird. It's hard to show because the part that it's knit bottom up, and the part that I've finished is obviously the bottom and the back. So this is upside down. But the part that I'm working on now is the front. So it's a top. I was working on it last year. It's from an issue of Pom Pom Quarterly. I think I saw it on Paige's Instagram. I think she was like, hey, I have the yarn for this pattern. People should buy that. So I did. I got the yarn that's in the that they use in the pattern itself. It's Mojave yarn from Kelborn Woolens. It's a DK cotton and linen yarn, and the colorway is flamingo. And like I said, it's what they use in the pattern itself. And I really liked the top when I saw it. So I got the yarn last year. I started working on it, and then it just ended up being the wrong season, so I put it down for a while. But I've picked it back up, and I'm hoping to finish it this month so that I can wear it this summer. So you knit the back and you knit the front, and then it'll join at the shoulders, and then you just kind of put a border around for the sleeves and the neckline. So it's getting there. The back is done. The front I'm working on now. So there's not too much left. I've certainly gotten through. This is my last ball of yarn. I think I'm going to need more, so I actually have a planned trip to go up to see Paige to pick up more. So I've put in at least 4 balls, and this should be the 5th, and I'm going to need one more just to finish it off. So that should mean that I'm at least almost 75% done with the knitting. It's been a really fun project to work on because it's lace and cables. So it's something that is interesting, but honestly not too overly taxing. I messed up a couple times, but I decided I didn't care, and I just kind of fixed it and moved on, or accounted for it later and moved on. I didn't go back and fix it. But it's been really fun. I really like that one. It's living in one of my favorite bags. This is a Fat Squirrel bag. Another project that I had been working on more in the winter, it's kind of what I shifted my attention to when I was in the wrong season for this whole bird, is the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along that was last year. So that one is called Shawlography. I picked up yarn for it when I was at the Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival, I believe. which was one of the first festivals I went back to. It was last September, and that festival and the New Jersey Sheep and Wool Festival were a couple weekends apart, and I ended up going to both of those. That was my first dip back into, going to yarn festivals again. So that was fun. So I picked up a kit while I was there at Haynes House Yarn. So I don't remember any of the colorways, but again, there's a project page for it, I think. If not, I will make one soon. So I picked up a kit. I'll put in a picture of the yarn because I have it all laid out nicely. Here it's all kind of jumbled up. But I have not made it very far. I did start it with everyone else. I did stay up to date on Clue 1 and then immediately fell behind. So I believe I'm on or done with Clue 2. That's as far as I've gotten. So I have a lot more to do. I did get through the cool little loop section, and I think I'm working on short rows now. That gives it kind of a wider shape. I have no idea where I left it off. It might be done with a clue, but I think I actually... No, I have more to go. I think this side might be done, but this side isn't. So, yeah, anyway, it obviously has not gotten a lot of love recently, but it is something that I have spent a significant amount of time on and have a significant amount of time left to spend on it. This one is living in my Wuthering Sheep, guess what, chicken butt bag, which it makes me giggle every time. So, that is my last active project. There are some other things that I have technically in the works, but they're just dormant. I haven't touched them. I don't remember what they are. I don't remember where they are. So as of now, they just do not exist. So, all right, looking through my notes, I definitely talked about all of my finished objects. I definitely talked about all of my whips. I started getting into acquisitions a little bit. I was really terrible at organizing everything, mentally. I have a couple more acquisitions to show you. I will show you, so like I said, I was at the Maryland Sheep and Wool this past weekend. So I do want to kind of just show you what I got. I did go to, like I mentioned, a couple other festivals. I posted on Instagram what I got at each of them, except Rhinebeck. I honestly do not remember at all what I got at Rhinebeck, and I apparently didn't take a picture. But here, if I inserted it right, are what I picked up from some of the other yarn festivals that I went to. So if you want to see details on those, you can just go to Instagram. I'm sure that I hope that I tagged some of the makers on those. But Maryland Sheep and Wool was recent. And I still have everything that I purchased grouped together nicely. So I'll go through what I picked up there. So first thing that I'm going to show you is just some of the Maryland Sheep and Wool branded stuff that I get. Honestly, I don't usually pick up like the festival, designed things. But I was near the shed and I was kind of cold. So I actually really wanted a long sleeve t-shirt, which I didn't then wear. But mentally, I was just thinking, I want a long sleeve t-shirt, even if I wasn't wearing it right then. So I did get the hooded long sleeve t-shirt for Maryland Sheep and Wool. It was their 49th year. I believe the one that got canceled in 2020 would have been the 48th, which they did still have merch for because that was an option for some of these. I can't remember because I think they had to cancel. They canceled 2019 actually, so that would have been 48th. So last year probably would have been 49th, but they didn't have it at all. I don't know. I honestly don't know. So there's probably some information on there, but they're almost at 50 years. This was the 49th. Yeah, if you're going to go next year, there might be some good merch for next year. But that was a t-shirt that I got. And then I also picked up this bag. It's a pretty simple, just like drawstring bag, but it's also more sturdy than your typical drawstring bag, and it has a front zipper pocket. So this I felt like was a bag that I just needed in my life. It serves a certain purpose that, it's one of those easy to grab, easy to carry things kind of bags, which is the purpose of bags, but I promise there was a reason. So I did pick up this bag as well. It was also very convenient for carrying my purchases once I got home. I also got, I will show you these earrings. So these are some earrings that I got from Favor Valley Woodworking, who apparently used to live in New England, but now lives in Oregon and came all the way from Oregon for the festival, which was pretty cool. So these are sumac wood, and one of the reasons that I really liked it, I'll see if I can show you this, is that on this one, there is a teeny tiny strip of bark on the side, and I thought that was really cool. But these wood earrings are really great. They're very lightweight, and yeah, they're just very cool. And these ones are kind of green just because of the type of wood that they are. So I really like them. Earrings have been my thing lately. I've picked up a lot of earrings at different festivals, and yeah, they're just my go-to. Because now that I can wear earrings, I've talked about it before, I gauged my ears a tiny bit so that I could put in silicone tubes so that earrings can go through and not irritate my ears. So yeah, I've been loving earrings lately. All right, I also did pick up some yarn. This is natural dyed yarns dyed by Suzanne Banghart. It doesn't look like she has an online presence that I could see, but I just really liked the yarn, like how it looks with the little, the twist, and I got a couple different colors that I might be able to use together. I realized that they're very Mardi Gras later, but that's fine. I still think they look nice together. But these are 100% Peruvian Highland non-superwash wool, merino and Corriedale. But anyway, this was yarn that just kind of grabbed me. I honestly wasn't planning to buy much yarn, but I just walked in and really liked these. So I grabbed those. I also, I mentioned at Haynes House yarn. They were at the Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival. They were also at Maryland Sheep and Wool. And they had the unfortunate story. For anybody who was at Maryland Sheep and Wool, it was very rainy. It rained all day Saturday. I think Sunday was nicer, but I didn't end up going back on Sunday. I just headed home. But they had set up on Friday night and came into a bunch of their yarn toppled over on Saturday morning. So they offered some of it at a discount. So I did take advantage of their discount, and I picked up 2 skeins. Again, even though I wasn't planning to buy any yarn, but I do like their yarn. So this is Silver Bullet on their Community DK weight. DK has been my go-to lately. So it's 100% superwash merino. This is on the same base, and I think the tag is in here, so I can give you the name. This was Ms. Brentwire. So those are the other 2 skeins of yarn that I picked up at the festival. And that was it for yarn. I didn't pick up any more. And then last things that I got. So this was just a cute little basket. They had a lot of really big baskets. I have way too many things for holding things already. So yeah, of course I bought a bag, but no baskets. But this was just a really cute one, and it comes with a magnet. So I thought that would be fun for either Tilda could use it, stick it on something and hold little things, or maybe it could hold some pens or something. So anyway, I got this really cute little basket. And then lastly, I went to the booth for Aph Designs, which says original fused glass. They do buttons, necklaces, stitch markers, earrings, cufflinks. And I got this magnetic shawl pin. So you can see there's the glass. And it has this little magnet kind of pouch thing to clip it. So if I were to be wearing a shawl, then that would hold it right there. Also from there, I got these earrings, which are just beautiful. They're kind of black and have, I think, silver flecks. Actually, I haven't looked at them recently. So, yeah, those lovely earrings. And I really liked that when I checked out, she put my purchase in this really cute little pouch. It's like upholstery fabric. Very nice and sturdy. So that was all of my purchases from Maryland Sheep and Wool. I made a lot of purchases in the last year and a half. I'm not going to show you all of them, but just a couple of highlights. Well, yarn wise, like I said, I'm not going to show you all of the yarn, but just to mention some of the dyers that I have purchased from. My friend Robin, who dyes as Robin's Roost. Oh my gosh, my brain's not working. Did a custom order for me and sent me a sweater's quantity worth of an orange that I cannot remember the name of right now. I think it was pumpkin spice. So that I can knit a coat actually that's called Evening in Edinburgh, and I think that's designed by Casapinka, but I cannot remember. I have swatched for that. I swatched for it about a year ago, and I haven't touched it yet. So that's one of those, hopefully I'll be able to cast it on soon projects, but she dyed that yarn for me. I have a kit from Flying Fibers with their Yorkshire Medley yarn. They actually relocated from their Landisville location to their farm. So now their yarn shop is in a really cute little structure that's right there on the farm. You can see the sheep. You can see the geese. She's got these geese with it's like a curly breed of geese. I don't know. They have really cute feathers. So you can see the chickens. Like there's ducks. I think she has ducks too. Like there's a whole bunch of animals on the farm, and the yarn shop is there on the farm. So I got to go out and visit them, and it's really cute. So you should definitely check it out if you're in the Wrightsville, Pennsylvania area. But I got some Yorkshire Medley for a night shift shawl as a kit, so that's waiting to be cast on. I also got some yarn from Lady Dye Yarns. I have some other yarn from At Haynes House. Some bags. I showed you the Daisy Lane design bags. She has been making more bags recently, so I actually have a couple that I picked up from her. And then also By the Bay Bag Company. They used to be Yarn Company, but they did change their name to Bag Company. I think I have at least 2 bags that I picked up from them in the last couple of years. So just some makers that I know I have purchased from, even though I'm not able to show you what I purchased because honestly it's too much and it's just kind of everywhere. So those are some of my recent acquisitions. I do also have some recent hobbies, as I mentioned earlier. So some of my acquisitions have not necessarily been yarn related. Right before the pandemic hit, I had been getting my nails done often. I was getting a dip manicure every couple of months. And then everything shut down and I had to figure out how to take it off myself. And then that kind of led me into, well, maybe I could do it myself at home. So I did end up buying a bunch of dip kits. So I got very into doing my own nails. The ones I'm actually wearing today are not dip. They are press-on nails that I was trying for the first time. I can't remember. I think they're called Impress, and I just picked them up from Walmart. They're actually kind of fun. But dip is really where my heart's at the moment. And I bought these little sample nails so that I could make my own samples of the dips that I have. So these came as blank little sticks. And I have dipped them with all of the dip that I purchased. So the dip powders. So I got very into that. So this is my mini nail salon that I have acquired. So that's one of my new hobbies that I've picked up. Another hobby that I've been digging more into, it isn't new because I was already into fountain pens pre-pandemic. But I've gotten some of my favorite pens since the pandemic started, so I just wanted to show you a couple of them. So this is my absolute favorite. This is my highest end pen that I own, and this is called a Vanishing Point Pilot. My favorite thing about it is that it clicks, so it's a retractable fountain pen, which I absolutely love, and it's a teeny tiny little tip there. Which is different from most fountain pens. Usually they're much bigger. But I love this pen. And then I got a couple of pens just in the last couple of weeks too that are from TWSBI. This is the TWSBI Mini. And this is the TWSBI VAC 700R, if you care. But it was a very cool color. I really like fountain pens because I like to be able to change out the ink. I like the way that they write. And I make sure that I write every day because, as I mentioned, I would mention, I have been keeping up with my everyday 5-year memory book journal. I know that I mentioned this probably at the time that I got it. I started it on January 8th, 2019, and you have a page for every day and just a section of the page for each year, and you write for that day every year for 5 years. So I'm on year 4. I started in 2019, so now 2019, 20, 21, 22, so this is my 4th year. And I don't necessarily keep up with it every day, but I do, if I do fall behind, I catch up. In this day and age, you can really tell what you've been doing with Google Maps. Keeps track of my location. My browser history keeps track of what I was looking at. Instagram, I can keep track of what I posted. So I'm able to catch up pretty easily if I do fall behind. I just try to not fall behind more than a week or so. But I just fill it in with whatever I was doing that day. It helps for keeping track of what I'm reading. Like I said, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I recently subscribed to a newer one that's called Scribd. And that has, it has a lot of options available. So it's one that I've been listening to a lot of. So I get through usually 2 or 3 books a week if I'm on top of them. So I keep track of what I'm reading. I keep track of what I'm crafting on, what I'm doing with the kids. So it's been really nice just to look back and see, what was I doing 2 years ago or 4 years ago? Or, yeah, it's just a really cool way of keeping track of what's been going on in my life. So I had tried journaling when I was a teenager and then kind of in my 20s, and I just never really stuck with it. But this one, because I think it's such a small commitment, it's really only just like 5 lines that you have to write on. I've been able to keep up with it. So I love this. And it's a great way to use my pens because it's good quality paper. So I'm able to use my pens. And if you look through, you can see, you might be able to tell, the ink is usually different from year to year. That's how I can tell which year I'm working on. So pens, dip. My absolute favorite acquisition in the past year is my scooter. I bought a scooter last spring. I have always wanted to have a scooter. And when I say scooter, I mean it is a heavy duty, it's a 150cc for anybody who knows or cares. So that means it can go up to about 60 miles an hour. The major difference between a scooter and a motorcycle, first of all, mine caps out at 60 miles an hour. Your motorcycles will typically not. They'll be able to handle highways just fine. Mine can handle little highways. I take it on Route 1 and that's about it. It's an automatic. Your motorcycles are typically going to be manual with a clutch and changing gears and all that. But a scooter's automatic, so it's a real breeze to drive. Like I said, I can go up to about 60 miles an hour. If I hit a hill, right, I can get up to 70, but I don't usually push it that hard. But I have been loving my scooter. I ride it a lot during the summer. Obviously, we're coming out of winter, so I haven't ridden it as much, but the weather is starting to get nice. So I'm able to take my scooter back out. It's great for just, running to the store or just heading out to lunch with somebody. Like if I just don't need to have a giant car for just me to go somewhere. I do take Tilda out every once in a while. Eric doesn't particularly like it, so he doesn't tend to go out on the scooter. But Tilda does enjoy it, so I'll take her to dance class or, out somewhere. So she has a helmet. I obviously wear my helmet all the time, and we have a 2-way Bluetooth connection, so we can talk to each other when she's riding on the scooter. So it's been a lot of fun. I love it. So that was one of my favorite acquisitions in the past year and a new hobby because there's really a scooter community as well. Not like one that's particularly close to my area, so I don't have like a scooter club that I can ride with. But there are some scooter enthusiasts online that I've been able to connect with, and that's been a lot of fun. And lastly, I would say that one of my other favorite acquisitions, and really I would call it a new hobby because it's really hard to resist, purchasing new ones is I got new glasses where the frames have magnets on them and they have toppers that are interchangeable. So these ones, I don't know how well that'll show up, but these ones are rainbow knit stitches. So these are knitting specific glasses. I have a bunch of different styles. If you've been paying attention, I've actually been changing them this whole time. I don't know how obvious it'll be. Same with my earrings. I have a bunch of different styles of earrings that I've purchased over the last couple of years. So it's a great opportunity to try some of them out. But yeah, this pair I wear, I love them. They've got styles for all sorts of different hobbies. Obviously, you have knitting on there. There's sports teams. There's characters. I think they have a Disney line, if I remember right. I may be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But they're really fun to just change things up. So yeah, so pair eyewear, highly recommend it. It's one of those things that you see on Instagram. I saw it on Instagram, I went for it, and I have loved it. So highly recommend. I think that's everything. Let me take a quick look at my notes. So I don't know if I said this up front or not. I did in one of my takes, but I'm not making any promises with this. I just end up breaking them anyway. Hopefully I'll be able to give you some updates more than a year and a half later. But for now, this is just me stopping in, saying hi, letting you know what I'm up to. So I will hopefully see you again sometime in the future. But until then, I'll just say bye. My chair just locked on itself. Weird. Sleep. 2 pieces. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. I can't do it. We're gonna back up.